Hello everyone. So today we are going to take a look at the Kanban Action Planner plugin that I've created. So my goal there was to have something in Obsidian to manage all my tasks, my goals, my plans, but also my creations. So the articles that I write, my newsletters, the videos that I want to record like this one, and many, many other things. Problem that I faced is that most of the plugins that you will find for Kanban boards, even those that play with bases and metadata, most of those only have a concept of one set of columns for those Kanban boards. And that for me was too limited. So that's why I've created this plugin, which is built on top of Obsidian Bases, which lets you filter your nodes and find everything that you want. And this plugin enables you actually to manage different types of nodes and to react accordingly. So it will show you the columns that you want depending on the types of nodes that you are looking at. And if you have boards with multiple types of nodes, then you will be able to also see all of those together within separately. This plugin is way more than just Kanban boards. It's actually an entire project management solution built within Obsidian on top of Markdown files. So everything that you do through this plugin is saved inside of your nodes as metadata. It leverages those for the status updates, priorities, time estimates, deadlines, things like that. You can manage everything through your nodes. This plugin is available as a community plugin inside the Obsidian community website. You have different types of views. So you have the Kanban boards, you have the triage mode where you can prioritize, you have a calendar, you have a timeline, a WBS, so that you can organize the flow of things and estimate the time it's going to take you to implement things. And there is actually more than that. So yeah, let's dive in. So to install this plugin, you have to go to the Obsidian community website and you just have to search for Kanban Action Planner. That's where you will find it. And from there, it's just add to Obsidian and that will be installed and you can start using it. Also, if you go to the GitHub page of the plugin, you will find the docs in which everything is explained. So the usage of all the different views, what you can configure and things like that, everything is covered in detail. You can do quite a lot. I'm not going to cover everything in this video. I just want to give you a sense of what you can do with this, why it's beneficial to use it versus using dedicated tools for project management. That's considering you can choose the tools that you're using. And so everything is saved as part of Markdown files, as I said. And that's nice because it means that even if you stop using this plugin, all of the information that you've created, the statuses, the projects, the workflows, the automations and things, everything can remain. And the configuration is there and the files are there, your notes are there. Everything that you've done will be there forever. And you can switch to something else without any issue. All right, let's get started. So this is the main view of the plugin. It's the board, it's a Kanban board. Just so that you can understand, this is an Obsidian base. So the actions base in my Obsidian Vault is an Obsidian base that contains different views. And for instance, I have this tasks view, which is a normal Obsidian base view where you can see the columns, which correspond to different properties on all of those nodes. And why do I see those nodes? Because here I have filters, and the filters, and this is just knowledge about Obsidian bases, the filters is how you select within the base what nodes you want to see. In my case, this is my action base, so I'm just getting focused on the goals, on the plans, my projects, my tasks, and that's about it. And so that's the filter. So the idea is that when you get into a base, you have every single node within your Obsidian Vault, your entire knowledge base. Then you use the filters to narrow things down to just the set of nodes that you are interested in. And as I said, since this is an action space, that's why I'm filtering on those. Now, this is a tasks table, so this specific view has an additional set of filters. In particular, this one is what actually filters down to the tasks. So I don't see all of my action nodes, I just see the tasks. Now, that's one of the built-in views. But now, since I've built this plugin, I actually use this one, which is the plugin that I'm explaining today. Same concept. So here I'm filtering for tasks. And what you can see is that I have different columns. And those columns, they are not hard-coded. Actually, there's a configuration that says, okay, the nodes that are recognized as being task nodes, So this is an example. This note is a task. As you can see, there is the type task on it. So this specific note is recognized as a task. And if I look again at this specific note, you can see that it has a status field which with the status 10 backlog. And if I go back to the action space, you can see that it's actually appearing in a column named backlog. And why? It's because in the configuration I said, okay, for nodes of type task, I have a status property, and these are the allowed values for that. And that's why I get those columns, because it's all the status property on that node type that dictates which column should be shown. And this card appears in this column because the status property of that node is set to that value. Okay, might sound a bit complex, but actually it's really not. It's just that you have different types of nodes. You can have meetings, you can have projects, you can have tasks, you can have goals, you can have videos, articles, whatever you want. And the nice thing with this plugin is that you can actually create Kanban boards that are really fit to purpose. If I compare with the Task Notes plugin, which I still use and still recommend, it's a really nice plugin. You can also have the same kind of thing with columns. But the thing is that in the configuration of the Task Notes plugin, you can only have a set of columns, statuses. And that was not enough for me. But the thing is that with this new plugin that I've created, I can do this for tasks, but I can actually do this for other things. So here I have my projects board. So one of my active projects are here. I have that for my plans. I have that for my goals. And as you will see, I have that for other kinds of notes. And actually, I can even go further. And I have this board where I can see all of my actions. And here you can see that the different types of notes, so the goals, the plans, the projects, everything has specific lanes. So one lane per type of note that is present in this base, because this specific base actually includes all of those node types. And the way this works is, okay, I've recognized all of the node types, and for each, I'm just displaying one lane, which is nice because you can then have a board where you can see your goals and your project and your task all in one go. And if I search here for Obsidian, I can filter down the information to just what I care about. So I have different goals related to Obsidian. I have different projects related to Obsidian, and I have many tasks related to that. And I can see all of those from here. But we'll go back to the filtering part afterwards. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the features that I want to highlight in this video. As I said, I'm not going to cover everything, and I'm continuing to build this. So yeah, things are moving quite fast now with AI, which is nice. So the first thing you can do, of course, quite obvious, is move one card from one column to another in a different position if you want. So if I say, okay, I want to organize this Obsidian workshop for my community, it should be this quarter, then I can drag and drop it here. Now its status has changed. And what I want to highlight again is that whenever you change things with this plugin, so I've just changed a card from one column to another, if I go to the note, so the actual Markdown file that is on my file system, you can see that the status property has changed to a new value. And that's the value that is associated with this specific column. And that's nice because it means whenever you change something, it's not just in the plugin, it's not just in what you see, it's in the actual notes. And this matters because if I now point AI to this specific node and ask it, yeah, what's the status of my task about the Obsidian workshop? Then it can just read the file and it will see, okay, it's planned for this quarter. It's obvious, it's in the file. And you don't need Obsidian to do that, and you don't need the plugin, you don't need anything. And that's the actual value add of approaching it like this. All right. Another thing that you can do is collapse or expand columns. So if I'm really focused on what's going to happen short term, then I can just hide those. I don't need those right now. I can focus on what's going on right now. So that's one way to focus on what you're currently doing. You can still drag and drop those other columns, even if they are collapsed. You can also display everything in a condensed way. So here it's actually already the case, but if I want to see more, I can disable the show titles only mode, and I can see then other properties in my notes, like the priority, the urgency, the effort required, and other thing. You can also change the status of a node by right-clicking, selecting set status. This is going to again update the node. You can actually set deadlines. So if I say, okay, this task here is really urgent, I can set a deadline for today. Now it appears in a different color. Another thing you can do is create relationships between different nodes inside of the board. So let's say that you have tasks and that you have dependencies between tasks. Let's say that you have to do A before B, and so B depends on A, and A is a blocker for B. So these are relationships between tasks. Other types of relationships include parent and child. So if you have a project, then that project can have as parent a goal, and if you have a task, its parent can be a project, and vice versa. So we have this notion of relationships. So block by, you just go right click on a card, then relationships, you can add block by, and then you can select a node that is the element blocking the current one. And it can be anything in your system, it can be a task, it can be just any node basically. So another thing you can do, since every card on those boards is a node, is control click, and that will open the corresponding node, quite useful. Again, that's one of the big benefits of managing tasks within Obsidian, a note-taking system, is that it's not just a card on a board with some details. It's actually a node in the system, and that node in the system can include as many details as you want. It can contain links to other nodes in the system. So here, for instance, this specific task node is linked to different other nodes in my system. And that's nice because it's not just a task that is in some other system, Todoist or Trello or whatever you might be using. It's all in one tool and can have deep relationships with everything else, with your daily notes, with your ongoing projects, with other tasks, with ideas you have, with references that you've captured. So it creates something that's much more useful and creates much more leverage than having a task management system somewhere and nodes elsewhere. It's all in one and everything can be connected together. So another kind of relationship, as I said, is you can define a parent for the node. So this is how you create parent-child relationships. And so you have parents, you have children, and you have siblings. Those are on the same level. You can choose whatever you want. You can have those or not have those, but it's actually quite relevant. And when I think about project management and goal management and productivity in general, I think that everything flows down from your goals to your projects, to your tasks. And all of those are closely related to each other. Another thing that you can do is filter also by due dates. So if you've set a due date for a specific task, so you set a deadline, for instance, this one you schedule it for today, or you set a deadline for a specific date, then what you can do is also take a look at everything that's overdue. So if you are late with some of your tasks, you will be able to know quite easily. In this case, it's not true, it's just for testing, but you get the idea. All right, let's look at another example. So this is another base that I have in my system. This is for my books. So it's everything related to what I want to read, what I'm currently reading. So I have this plugin that displays a nice shelf. So these are the books that I'm currently reading or somehow currently reading. So I have this classic Obsidian base view where I can see everything, how many days I've spent reading. So this one is taking way too long. I forgot about it. But you can see that you also have a view with cards. These are built in, so that's part of Obsidian. But now actually I've gone ahead and created a Kanban view for this one. And it's cool because now when I want to update the status of a book that I'm reading or that I want to read, I have to order those columns. Allows me to show one more feature is that you can move the columns around. They are not fixed. So if I take a look here on my reading list, actually this one is one that I finished reading a few days back. So I can just update it like that. I drag and drop it. Again, just a note in the system. Now the status has changed to red. The nice thing is that I could actually automate that using the plugin's configuration. It's on my to-do list. All right, so that's one more example. I have another. So here I have my Kanban board for articles. So this is for content creation. Again, it's time bound. That's the way I like to organize things. But now the difference is that when I look at articles, the statuses are different. When I'm writing, I'm preparing a draft, but then those drafts, once they are ready, I have to edit those, and so I can map those statuses, so the actual workflow that I'm going through when writing, going from the idea to the first draft, to the edited version, and to the fact that something has been published. And thanks to this plugin and the fact that it's so versatile, I can map the complete workflow visually inside of those boards. Quite useful to me, at least. There's actually also a calendar view. So in the calendar view, you're going to see either a day or week, a month, a quarter, or the full year. So here on the left, you have the scheduling part, and you can find by status all of the items that are part of this base view. They are grouped by status. In this case, this week, I have planned to watch this video. Didn't choose yet when to do it. I think I will do that tomorrow. And so I can drag and drop it like that. Again, I can control click to open it, which is quite nice because that way you not only get a view of all of the work that you are doing, planning, whatever, but you can also actually map it to a calendar and see it. So again, similar to the other view that we discussed before, you can also filter. So if I only want to see things related to Obsidian Starter Kit, one of my projects, then I can filter down. The number has gone down. Filtering basically works the same way. You can filter on a project, you can do or, you can filter on status, you can filter on the parents, on the due dates, and things like that. So yeah, basically the filtering mechanism works the same way in all of the view types. Another view type that we have inside of the plugin is the timeline. From the timeline, what you can do again is select elements on the left. You can add them to the timeline. And once you do, you can order the things. So yeah, maybe I should take some one that are more interesting. So here I want to extract some AI skills for my starter kit. But this is actually something I want to do after this other task. So I just reordered them, and you can see that the order of the items in the timeline has changed. So if I say, okay, this one is going to happen before the other one, I put it before, but then the line also changes so that you have really a drill down in time of what's going to happen and how long you hope for that to take. So you can do this, you can shift them, you can resize them to change the estimates. And again, all of this is saved inside of the notes. So here I said that this would take maybe 2 days. If I go inside of it, you can see that the time estimate is 960, and that should, I guess, correspond to 2 days. All right, again, same thing. You have different time horizons that you can do this for. And so you can organize your work across a day, across a week, across a month, a year, whatever you want. Okay, another one we have in the plugin. So the triage view is where you can go to check everything that's in your queue. So all of the tasks, all of the projects, whatever. So imagine that you have taken half a day to dump everything in one go. Then you have a mess because it's just too much information. And you need some ordering. You need to think about the priorities, the importance, the urgency, the impact of some work you might or might not do. Before you actually start doing it. And so here I can say, okay, for this one, so let's take a concrete example. All right, I want to include the documentation of the starter kit inside of the starter kit. That's a task that's been, been delayed for quite some time. And here I have configured some properties, again, inside of the notes with different values that I can use to prioritize my work. So this is my action system. It's the way that I organize and prioritize things. And so I need to basically answer these questions. So what's the urgency of doing this? Actually, it can wait for the future. It's not something urgent. It's been waiting for quite some time. Or I will try to do that next year. Honestly, I don't think that I will be able to do that soon. The impact is quite low because, it's a nice to have for users, but the documentation is published online, so it's not a must. The effort required to do this, yeah, I would say it's medium because it's going to take me some time to think about, yeah, okay, for each release I need to include new documentation. But then what happens if they upgrade their vault? How do they get the updates to the documentation? Necessity is this something that I must do, that I should do, that I could do? Yeah, I consider that it's something that I could do. It's not a should, it's not a must. So I have this action system that's quite organized, and this triage view, which you can customize with additional properties and questions to answer, is just one way to go through all of the backlog and say, okay, I need to decide on those things. So that's why I was saying that this plugin is not just yeah, a Kanban board. It's actually a project management tool. And I would say, would even go further. It's a life management tool. So life and work, you can organize everything that you want to achieve within this thing. So another view that I want to show is the WBS. So the project manager, so people who have done project management before should be familiar to that. It's just one way to define from coarse grain to fine grained, or the other way around. Yeah, what is it going to take to do this thing that we want to do? And so in this case, I have a project, and that project I have identified a number of tasks that I want to work on. And then for each of those tasks, I can see the completion. So that's also one way to see, yeah, where am I standing with this thing? What is left to be done so that I can consider it to be done. All right, one last thing that I want to show you about this plugin, there's a lot more to say because there are too many details. Anyways, is that you can embed those Kanban views and those calendars and timelines and whatever that I've shown you. You can embed all of that wherever you want in any other note. And so here is my daily note. That's where I'm working most of the time. And you can see that I have this short-term backlog thing that shows me the Kanban board and where I can also drag and drop, just like in the base view. And it's actually an embedded base inside here. And the way it works is you have the usual Obsidian embedding syntax, so the exclamation mark, then a link to the Obsidian base, and then the name of the view that should be displayed. But then I have added support for this. So here I'm showing the Kanban board. That's why you see this with a certain height. That's why it's that big. So I filter to just show the this week in progress and the done columns. And that's quite cool because that means that in any note I want, I can go about and just embed this base like this, and I can see it anywhere I want. It's quite powerful. Or you can also add it to a sidebar. So here I could have my board displayed. Okay, it's not so nice because the sidebar is a bit small, but I could have it available in view all day long. I think that this is quite useful. Actually, you can also go further. And so if you have like, let's say that you have an Obsidian base, I'm going to add a card. I'm going to paste this same syntax. And oh, look at that. Now I have my Kanban board available here inside of the canvas. That's quite powerful. And you can go even further than this. So as I said, you can switch. Here's the Kanban. So if I take WBS, now I see the WBS. If I want to see the calendar, I can see my calendar. And so that means that you can really create yeah, powerful dashboards for your project like this. So quite nice, no? I like it. All right, so there you have it. That's an overview of the Kanban Action Planner plugin. It's actually way more than a Kanban board, as you saw. It's really an entire project management thing that stores everything inside of your notes so that your data is yours and safe forever. And you can leverage it with AI. That's quite powerful. So now if I go about and ask AI, okay, switch the status of that task or all of the tasks of that project to a specific state, whatever, it can do it. It's easy. It's all in the Markdown files. So cannot get much easier than that. So it's really portable. It's free. It's the file over app principle applied to project management. So notes that represent whatever you want, your articles, your videos, your tasks, your goals, your projects, whatever, everything inside of it. And you can just all leverage it with this plugin. You can have different views, you can track everything, and I think that I've said about enough for today. So yeah, I hope that you will try this out, that you will enjoy it, and if you find bugs, just report those on GitHub and I will get them sorted out. I know there are bugs. It's AI generated code, at least in part. So it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. I mean, it's useful. I'm using it every day now. And I like the fact that it's all built on top of Obsidian, where I spend most of my time working, taking notes, writing, sharing stuff. Yeah, it's just one more aspect of my life that I can put in there and leverage. And that's quite nice. I don't think that there are many other Obsidian plugins that get to this level for project management within Obsidian. And so, yeah, that's it for today. I hope that you liked this. If you liked it, tell me, add comments, add questions, report issues, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.